holding on just 1 more minute. I'm just trying to fix something up. So.
Yes, okay, perfect. In the meantime, as you all know, we'll be recording the sessions, and those will be available on YouTube. And the most active participants and people who are attending majority of the sessions will also get a chance to win some swags and potentially some Salesforce certification vouchers. So keep that learning enthusiasm going, and yeah, try to follow through the videos as well. And hopefully you'll be able to pass your certification exams after this bootcamp. Also, after yesterday's confusion, I'm just requesting everyone to put their questions in the Q&A box only, not in the chat section, because then it'll be difficult for us to go through each and every question by switching between the chat and Q&As. So for all the questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and for other general discussions, you can put them in the chat box. Thank you. Over to you, Elliot.
Right, thank you. Let me just... Well, good afternoon or good morning. I guess no one's good evening for you yet, or maybe it is. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, welcome. And my name is Elliot Harper. I'm a principal architect at CloudKettle. CloudKettle are a Salesforce partner, actually based in Canada, although I'm based in Australia. And today I'll be walking through Automation Studio. Now, I haven't prepared a comprehensive slide deck. I just feel this is one application where it's kind of best to show hands-on, as you know, there's I think really to understand the power and how the platform works is you need to see it with your own eyes, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. So I kind of assuming that you have some knowledge of data extensions and some other kind of core platform concepts. But if you don't, please feel free to ask any questions at the end. So if you are not on mute, if you wouldn't mind going on mute, I know there's some background noise. So we're just going to go and firstly start with Automation Studio. So Automation Studio, in fact, before we jump into Automation Studio, sorry, would you mind whoever's not on mute going on mute? It's just really, it's a lot of background noise. Let me just see, maybe I can go and Piyush, could you go on mute? Thank you very much. So anyone else not on mute? Heavily not. So we'll go back to Marketing Cloud dashboard. So obviously Salesforce Marketing Cloud, or Marketing Cloud Engagement, as it's more accurately called, is an enterprise digital marketing platform. But like any digital marketing platform, it requires data. I mean, without data, you can't really do anything in the platform. You certainly can't send emails and or kind of create messages. There's not much you can do. Maybe you could publish a non-personalized landing page, but yeah, kind of restricted. So the first step is to get data into the platform. And so Marketing Cloud, let's call it Marketing Cloud from now, as Marketing Cloud Engagement is a bit of a mouthful. It's really designed to be part of a larger technology stack, or MarTech stack, in an enterprise where you have a CRM system and maybe an e-commerce system. And anyway, customer data would reside in many places. And Automation Studio really kind of automates processing of data and kind of exchange with data with other platforms and systems in your technology stack. So let me kind of open Automation Studio and talk through kind of the fundamental concepts behind it. So I'm going to go and click on new. So here we see the automation dashboard. I'm going to go and click on new automation, and this automation canvas opens. The first, I guess there are two elements in an automation. We have our starting source, and then we have activities. So a starting source really determines how the automation starts, which could either be on a time or date-based schedule. So let's say that we want our automation to run every day, or perhaps even every hour or every week on certain days during the week. It could also be a file drop activity. So a file drop, this refers to when a file, and specifically a text to limited file like a CSV file, is dropped into an FTP folder location, then that will, like a watched folder essentially, and optionally it meets the file name and conditions, and that can trigger an automation to start, and it can pick up the file. I think it's worth mentioning, if you're not already familiar with that, with each Marketing Cloud account, you get your own SFTP server. And so we can import files in and export files from that, I guess, internal SFTP server that's included with your account. Optionally, we can also import and export files from external SFTP servers. But this is just a very convenient way of having watching a file location for a file to be dropped in order to kick off the automation. And the last and somewhat more recent addition is a trigger. So this is a API-based trigger. Let me just go and drag the activity here, configure, and in fact, no, I don't think it is. Sorry, I apologize. So you can certainly trigger it via an API, but again, this is a brand new feature. I'm pretty sure that this actually relates to the more recent cloud storage integration for Google Cloud Storage in S3. But the more common ones are schedule and file drop. So in fact, in this case, we're going to actually start with a file drop. And then the idea is that you drag and drop these activities onto the canvas on our right-hand side. And kind of as I do, kind of forms these swim lanes. So you see, so the way that automations work is that they execute in a linear fashion. So step 1, do this, and step 2, do this, and step 3, do this. And so we can have one or more activities which run in parallel in a specific step. For example, we might have, say 2 query activities, or kind of and a filter activity, and we'll go into details of what each of these activities do. In fact, I think we're going to go end to end, zero to hero, and create one from scratch, and then that is to get data in, and then we'll have a look at getting data out. So I guess kind of Automation Studio is also kind of worth mentioning, is it's a kind of a predecessor to Journey Builder. Prior to Journey Builder, when that was released initially in 2013, there was this is really the only way of automating customer communications. But the main difference between Journey Builder and Automation Studio is that this is just linear. There's only kind of step 1 to step 2, step 3. It's effectively the same branch or path. Whereas Journey Builder, we can direct contacts who are moving through the journey down different paths based on perhaps their behavior while they're in the journey, they're opening the email or not, or based on data that we have about them. But again, this isn't kind of the intent of an automation. It's just to automate repetitive manual tasks. So perhaps today we'll just focus on some of the more common activities. So let me go and do just that. And then, so we're going to start with maybe look, an import file activity. So we're going to go and drag this to the canvas here. And as it implies, an import file activity goes and enables you to import a file from a file source. So let's go and install this, say master. So let's just say, for example, I get a file drop every single day of my latest cust coming from an ERP or some other platform, or maybe it's kind of a database export. And so here I see a list of my file locations which have been predefined in the platform. For those of you not familiar with a file location, I think it's worth pausing and let me just jump in and show you. So file locations are configured and administrated from Marketing Cloud setup. So under data management, we have file locations, and there are a few default file locations, but these could refer to, and we'll see in a moment, wait for this to load. And I'll click create. It's slow now. Yeah, so file locations can refer to, like I said, external FTP or SFTP sites, or it could also from popular S3, cloud storage services such as Azure or GCP or AWS, that is S3, Amazon Simple Storage Service, just to mention a few. So in this case, we're going to be using the import directory in our account. So let me just go and select import directory, which is kind of empty at the moment. And let's just say that we're looking for a file that's dropped in each day, which matches a specific file name. Of course, also we could look inside specific folders, but this file, I'll call it master. In fact, here's one I kind of created earlier as a cooking show. Just let me go and grab that over. For demonstration purpose, we'll just call it customer data.csv. And we've got some different advanced file options here about to skip if it's recently processed, but we'll go into next. So in the next step, we determine what we're going to do with it, and we can either import these files into a data extension or into a list, like a publication list or a subscriber list. In this case, we're going to put it into a data extension. And let me go and find that data extension. I think sample data, I just created this previously. And let's say that every day or when the file is dropped, it's going to overwrite the existing records. Other options include, or maybe we will go and actually, let's do an add and update, so upsert records. So they don't exist. We'll add them. If they do, then we'll append them. Obviously, you'd use overwrite if you're deleting customer records, but in this case we'll keep it add and update, and then I choose how I want to go and map these. So in my sample data extension I have these fields. Now if the CSV file that is being imported doesn't include matching fields, then I've got some other options. I can go and upload a sample data file, or determine the column ID or number in the file I'm importing. But in this case, they are identical, so I'll leave that option there. Now I'll go and click finish. And let's then go and save this name of the automation. So call it an import customer data. And let's go and run it. So in fact, in order for me to, I'm just going to go back to workflow. And let me go and configure this. So I'm not looking for or let's say I am looking for file name pattern. Yeah, it's in this import directory. Use file name pattern contains or begins with, ends with. Let me just say begins with customer data. Oh, in fact, let's just say it's no file name pattern just for now. Click done and save and activate this. And so what I'm going to do behind the scenes, you won't be able to see this, but I'm just going to go and import a file into that directory. So what possibly could go wrong? See whether that works. Which I've uploaded now. If I click on the activity tab, we should see it start automatically. So it's always there. There we go, and it has. It's kicked off. Gosh. So you can see the activity by clicking on the activity tab in automation, and then it doesn't update automatically. You're just going to hit there with the refresh icon, but you'll see that it just starts pretty much in real time, or at least within a few seconds. We can see here this activity is being completed. So we jump across to this data extension, and there's the one with 0 records. If I was to open this now, there we go. I can see some a number of thousands of records have been imported into this data extension. So yeah, that's the kind of first example. So maybe we want to go and build this out further. Kind of what else could we do with it? Well, let's say that we want to go and maybe the record, I'm thinking out loud here, these records have been imported. We want to go and segment this data. So I want all customers who have who live in a specific country, perhaps. Let's say United Kingdom. So what we're going to do is create a data filter. So if you haven't yet had training on data extensions, or if you have, you'd be familiar with this notion of filtered data extensions. Filtered data extension is a kind of declarative way of kind of segmenting your data. And in fact, let's just go and do that now. I'll click on the filter icon here. And let's say where the country is equal to United Kingdom, for example. Additionally, we can have, through this intuitive expression editor, we can have nesting, and you can see we can have and/or conditions here. It's actually quite powerful for end users to use. But in this case, we're just going to go and call this one, I'm going to call it UK customer test. Now, I'll call it test for a reason. So now I've saved this, and it's actually already returned 13 records. So I actually want to go and use this as a filter. So while a filtered data extension is essentially a snapshot of whenever this was manually run, if we go and save this as a filter, and let's call UK customers. Oh, sorry, I can't spell today. And save it in the data filters folder. Close. Now we're just going to go back to our automation in here, and additionally we can kind of add notes so it's kind of easy for users to understand what each step does. So we're going to go and create a new filter activity here. You can't edit active automations, which is why it's prompting me to go and deactivate it. So we'll just go and click on that. And I'm going to go and create a new filter activity. We'll call this one UK customers. And there are a couple of different components of a filter activity in an automation. The first is the filter. So at the minimum, obviously you need the filter that we created with our filter criteria in Automation Studio. And click next. And now we're going to, the first time we do this, we just define where the resulting data extension, or what the name of the resulting data extension is. So we're going to call this one UK customers filtered. Click next and done. And so when I go and click save, and let's go and run that again. I'll just go and activate this now. And I'll go and import that file again. Now, while we're on the screen, it's really best practice at a minimum is to put an email address of a notification email address if that automation fails, because you could have some maybe business critical automation processes, which you kind of maybe they're importing customer data and sending out emails, and so if they don't run or kind of fail, then obviously you want some visibility on this. So I strongly encourage you to insert one or more email addresses in that field there. Now it is still waiting for it to be picked up. Let me go and oh, hang on, that's my fault. I just didn't complete the FTP transfer. So now we go here and click here. Momentarily we should see I've touched the file and it will kick it off. There we go. Fantastic. So we'll just wait very impatiently for it to run. So while we're waiting, I think it's worth explaining the execution time for activities and automation. So these activities must complete within 30 minutes. That is, each individual activity can run no longer than 30 minutes. So you can have an automation which has maybe a dozen activities and might take, an hour or more to run, and that's fine, just as long as each discrete activity doesn't take longer than 30 minutes to run. Otherwise, it will time out. So there we go. So now we go back to data extensions, and we should see the UK customers filtered. So this is the data extension that's being created by by that filter activity in the automation with our customers. So there's a kind of big trend, I guess, to use SQL for segmentation in automations. I'm a big fan of these filters, as it provides, they're actually quite powerful, and as long as you don't have a requirement to do sophisticated joins, it just provides a very easy declarative method, just both for marketers and developers to make changes. Additionally, an advantage is that I can make changes to a filter without having to interrupt an automation and pause it. And obviously, if I'm want to make changes to a query, it can be somewhat disruptive to an automation. At this point, before we go, just continue, should I say, I'd like to talk about the other option of scheduling here, which is an alternative option and actually kind of quite common instead of a file drop. So maybe we've got an automation that's running at a predefined schedule to, let me kind of think of a business case. In this case, we want to go and get sends from email sent, and maybe opens from my Marketing Cloud account and export this over to our where we're going to put it into our data warehouse. So just as we can use it for performing ETL processes, that's extract, transform, and load. It's obviously equally common to get data out of Marketing Cloud. And there are a number of different ways we can do that. We can either go and, well, in fact, let's go and do that actually. Let's go and filter I'll go and get out some email engagement reports, and also we'll go and get a snapshot of our UK customers. So I'm just going to go and let's go and create a new automation. In fact, let me go and I won't save the changes to there. I'm going to click new automation, and let's call it export customer data, customer, and so this time it's going to be a scheduled automation. So I'll just drag that to this area here, and we're going to go and like I explained before, it can run daily, hourly, or on specific days. At this stage, we won't configure this because we're going to just be running it manually just for testing purposes. So there are kind of a couple of different steps to extracting data from the platform. And it starts with the data extract activity. So let me go and find that. Where on earth is it in this? Import file event, send email, and for some odd reason, it's not on this file transfer filter. Can't believe that. Import file, let's go query. No, it's definitely not here. Let me just jump into the parent account, and for some odd reason it's not provisioned. I've never tried using that activity actually in this partner account, but so do not fear. I'm sure we'll find something. It's very strange. So let me just actually jump into these here and create activity, and data extract activity is what I'm looking for. Cool. So we're going to go, let's jump into a new automation, and I again run a schedule there, and let's call this one, say, done. And so we'll run a drug data extract activity. In fact, we'll probably use a couple of different data extract activities. We're going to create a new one. In fact, let me just, because the other one is in our other business unit. So let me go and create a new one. And this is going to be the tracking data. That is email engagement data about opens, clicks, bounces, unsubscribes, that we want to go and store in our data warehouse. But no matter if you're extracting a data extension or one of these internal tracking tables, that the flow is very similar. So I'm going to call this one data daily email engagement extract. And you can see I've got a few different types to pick from here. So I'm going to go and choose a tracking extract, and we'll give it a file name. So you want observe that what we can also do is append these kind of, I guess, personalization strings to the file name. So let's say we got a daily extract, and then if I do underscore, say year, month, day, so this will come out with a timestamp, and let's call it dot zip for reasons you'll see on the next step. So with the tracking extract, it actually creates a zip file of one or more files, and in here we define what's going to go into that file. So it could be, in this case, we've got by default, you've got emails sent and unsubscribes, but maybe we want also not sent, that emails fail to send for whatever reason, maybe because they're on a suppression list, or there is a kind of a send time error, but we need to know about those. So we're going to go and give this or define the range of how often we want the look back period, I guess. So I typically use a rolling range. This is the last 24-hour period, but we can set maybe the last week. And optionally, we can define which account IDs, that is MIDs on the account that we want to extract it from. In this case, we can also use a wildcard character to go and get all business units on this account. So each file will have a CSV file. I think that's okay. And click next. In fact, let me just, before I do that, I'll just go back. I just need to grab this file name because this is very important. Go next. Oh, sorry, rolling range is 1 day. Next. That's kind of midnight to midnight. So you're probably wondering, oh, that's great, but where did that file go? And it's a great question. So as I mentioned before, there's kind of commonalities depending on which are the same across all targets, and that data extract activities will always go and send the file to the safe house. Now, a safe house is a internal secure location in the DMZ, so that is inside Marketing Cloud. So you can't see these files just by browsing an SFTP server. It's really for kind of a security consideration. So we need to move it from the SFTP server to somewhere else. So let me go and do that. I'm just going to go and drag the, so to do that, we use a file transfer activity. So we're going to drag it on there, and I'm going to go and click create new file transfer activity. Say move customer data from maybe from, and observe there's an option to move it from the safe house. So we're just going to select that. And then the file naming convention will have to exactly match the file name that you just specified in the previous activity. And here we define where we want it to go. So in this case, the local export tracking. So I'm just trying to think, we'll put it in local expert. So these are obviously predefined file locations that have been created in this business unit. And I think it's worth mentioning that this is important. File locations are specific to a business unit. So I'll select local export, and we'll have to go and create an FTP account and go and look in that, but that's fine. We can go through that together. And kind of while we're on this as well, so optionally, you can go and encrypt files when exporting and actually decrypt them when importing as well. So we can go and upload a PGP or GPG key, which is the open source version of PGP. So if that file is compromised, or maybe access to the SFTP server, they can't do anything with the file. So while SFTP is a secure protocol for file transfer, it doesn't secure the actual file itself. So this is only going to help add a kind of additional security layer to that file transfer process. So it's really kind of best practice to go and select one of those. And I'm going to go and click finish. And so I'll go and click save. And observe that with the schedule starting source, we now have an additional option up here, and that's run once. So run once, this is actually really helpful. This never used to, it was only added, gosh, maybe 6 years ago now, but it enables us to run specific steps in the automation. So in this case, we've got, we'll run both steps, so I can select all activities. and click run. So we can run it on demand without having to wait for the automation to run on the hour, whatever cadence we defined. So again, click on the activity tab, and we can see it started. So running the data extract for the last 24 hours. So while it's doing that, we'll go and let's go back to setup. I'm going to go over to data management and file locations. And I mentioned before that, oh, sorry. Yeah, let's have a look where this file location is. So this was called, I think we put it on local export. Let's have a look at what local export is. This is a user-defined name. We can see that it's on the enhanced FTP site export directory. So we have to go and, in order to access that, I need to go and create an FTP account. So we'll go and do that. With each business unit, you can create 10, I had to think about that, 10 FTP accounts. It used to always be 1, then increased to 5, and now it's 10. And by default, the password expired, I think, after 90 days. So let me go and create one of those. I'm going to go and click Create User, and I'm just going to go and grab that username. Sorry, click Create User. Give me a moment, and I'll enter a password. I'll say we want full access. And there are a number of different authentication options. We can use password base or SSH key, or kind of a combination of both. It's really recommended to use an SSH key over password, but for testing purposes, I'm just using password. And encourage you to go and define a data retention policy. It should go and define one when it's finished provisioning. So this process just takes a few seconds. I'm not quite sure why. Set to never expire. Oh yes, it does expire. There we go. So you can see the password is automatically set to expire in 90 days. So I'm going to go over to my FTP client, and I'm just trying to think. Maybe at this point it makes sense to share my entire screen. But before I do, let me go and make sure I'm not revealing any passwords. So I'll go and I'm just going to go and create a new account. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and connect and share my screen. Once I've proven it to work, looking promising. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, that's good. So I'm going to go and share my entire screen now, so you can see everything kind of working. Back to Bootcamp here. I'm going to go and stop sharing here. I go and share my screen and share my entire screen. I'll possibly go wrong. And we'll go to setup, and so back in Automation Studio, I'm just going to go and click refresh and see what happened, and it's completed. Fantastic. What's just happened is going to should be taking a tracking extract and extracting the zip file, moving to an FTP, and then we're moving it from. It's available on the FTP. Sorry, moves it from the safe house to the FTP. Then we can download it from the FTP, and maybe this is just pushed rather than the Marketing Cloud FTP. It's your own or external FTP server. So let's go over to FileZilla and see what's going on here. So I'll just go and open up So here I am on the FTP account. I'm going to click on the export folder, and you can see there's a file called daily extract. Remember I added that date timestamp, and there it is. So it's just been created. So this looks promising. So I'm just going to go and download that zip file to my desktop. And let me go and desktop and open up the daily extract. And sure enough, we've got a zip folder containing bounces, clicks, conversions, opens, unsubscribes. Now these, again, this is a partner account. We don't really use it for sending, so I can just see from the size, we're not going to see really anything in there, just header rows. But yeah, you can see it's just a very convenient way of getting all that email engagement data into maybe a data warehouse reporting platform. And for more information, these are actually, they never used to be, but they are really well documented now. So Automation Studio tracking extract, and they document the exact schema, which is kind of good to use, and sorry, good to know, because it kind of explains what each field does. So under tracking extract output, this shows you all of the different extract types available, like sent, and each field and the data type and what it refers to. So that's that activity. So again, I've shown you how just in a few clicks we can get data in and out of the platform. Now let's me share some of the other activities which might be helpful. So let's just say, I'm just jump back to my business unit now, if you don't mind. And let's say we have a data extension of maybe UK customers, and we want to go and extract that that data, but we only want to extract it if it contains customers. So we're going to export it to some maybe FTP server or Amazon S3 location, so bucket. So I'm just going to go and reuse this automation we created earlier in the interest of time. I'll go and click on workflows. And let's just say this is, we're going to, in fact, let me just duplicate it, and we'll call it export customer data. Copy, and view the automation. So we've just got this existing filter, and I think it's important to note that these activities on the canvas actually aren't specific to an automation. That is, they're essentially end up in a library of activities. They can be reused across automation. So do remember that when editing the properties of these activities in a journey, or in an automation, because they will affect the same activity if it's also in a different automation. But let's just say in this case, sometimes there might not be more than, there might not be records. In this case, we don't want to extract it. So there's a, oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's a verification file activity, which of course is not available in this business unit. So let's just jump back to the other one. It's just, shouldn't be this hard. I can certainly kind of walk you through the concept. Yes, for some reason, when the business unit, normally when a business unit is provisioned, it does include all the activities, but I'm not quite sure in this case it didn't. So yeah, let's go and I'll go and create a new activity, new automation, and let's say we've got a filter. I'm just going to go and select one at random. These are China orders, or those at birthday today filter activities. So customers are having a birthday today. And I just need to go and save this actually. birthday extract, done, save. And we've got our verification activity here. So this is quite a relatively new activity. It's only been in the past few years. But here we see any data extension target that is the result of a data extension filter or a query activity appear here. And so we can select this, and we've got a number of options now. We can say that, if the count is equal to 0, so it doesn't contain any records, then we don't want to run subsequent activities. We don't want to extract that data, and we're simply going to go and stop the automation. And optionally, we could go and send an email notification. We perform that verification activity, and then we've got a data extract activity, and then a file transfer activity. But yes, like I said, it kind of makes sense not to extract an empty file. Before I open for questions, the other, I'm not going to go through each activity in turn, but just to mention a couple of other popular ones that we've got the SQL activity, or the query activity, which enables you to create actually highly sophisticated SQL statements where we can perform left joins, right joins, in joins, and just using Microsoft Transact SQL statements to transform data and to join data from different sources, and kind of have case statements. So it's kind of very powerful. I'll just go and quickly give a name so you can just see that interface, what it looks like. So you just simply write the query here, and for convenience, it's you can actually go and drag in fields from your data extensions, so rather than having to type them. So that's kind of convenient, but you just write a select statement, and then these query activities can will go and the result of a query activity is inserting records into a data extension. So we can either add, update, or add an update or overwrite records in the data extension. And script activity is actually a very powerful feature. This enables us to include an SSJS script. So SSJS is a proprietary scripting language based on JavaScript, which is available in the platform, which basically really anything that you can do in the platform that's through the interface or API, you can script it. So we can create data extensions programmatically, or delete them, or go and maybe we want to go and run external processes, or call an API, or even actually go and start a different data extension. It's kind of a lot of flexibility there. So hopefully that's given you kind of a good overview of Automation Studio and its capabilities. And I'd like to leave plenty of time for questions, and I'm happy to dive into other areas of the app if there's anything you're specifically interested in. So I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to go and stop sharing my screen now and go back. Hopefully you're all still here.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We have a few questions in the Q&A section. So let's start from the first one. So the first one is from Lakshmi. She wants to know, can we define the location where we can download the exported files from FTP?
Yeah, of course. Great question. So, and again, just to clarify, you've got the FTP location for the Marketing Cloud FTP server, or alternatively, you can configure your own FTP or SFTP servers. So these are all in file locations. So yes, you can create a specific file location that is targeting a specific directory, and you can create your own kind of custom directories in there. So that's where you go and do that. But yeah, you have to get it to look into a specific folder. So next question is how to prevent duplication of contacts in all subscribers. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what. It's a somewhat ambiguous question, but there are, when you say so a contact yeah, is a and like a subscriber has a system of record called subscriber key. So as long as that is unique for an individual, it won't you won't duplicate a subscriber. But I think what the question is really referring to is maybe having kind of duplicate email addresses, or you know, perhaps you've got a lead who's converted to a contact, and then we've now got a separate subscriber for that. So I look, the first answer is that as long as that you've got a unique subscriber key, and if you're bringing records in from CRM, that is Sales Cloud, it uses the either the user ID, lead ID, or contact ID as a subscriber key. But if you want to deduplicate, maybe you've got an existing subscriber with the same email address, then you know, you can go and certainly write a query to go and there are various patterns to kind of solve that use case, but there's no magic deduplicate button. Yeah, you'd have to check in your query to see whether there's an existing record, and perhaps create a filter on it, kind of ignore it, because you can't update an existing subscriber key. Again, it's immutable identifiers as a system of record. Next question is, during the workflow creation, can we play around with DE filter or SQL query to fetch the required data from the master DE? Fetch the required data from the master DE. So yes, whether you're working with query activity or filter activity, you know, while that either the automation is in draft or it's public, at any time you can go and change that filter or query. You know, just click on the activities tab, and then yeah, you can go and edit it without affecting the automation. So there's another great question from Patrick about this ETL example in Automation Studio could be replicated using a third-party ETL tool from Marketing Cloud, employing more advanced ETL processes. So yeah, look, Marketing Cloud really isn't designed to be a silver bullet, and there are many scenarios when you may want to use a dedicated ETL tool like Informatica or Matillion or Workato or even MuleSoft. And many of these tools have actually direct integration into Marketing Cloud and uses the Marketing Cloud API. So it's not a, you know, you have a look at some of these enterprise level ETL tools, which have kind of quite powerful event service buses and orchestrate processes kind of across different platforms, then yes, but this is, again, this is just really a, so it's, it can certainly be used in combination with this, or yeah, you're not, you can either use Automation Studio and or an ETL tool. But yeah, I acknowledge that there are, yeah, look, it is quite powerful and suits the majority of use cases, but you know, yeah, there are, and I think kind of specifically more recently, as they've expanded this to include support for cloud storage-based services, has really opened up the amount of use cases. And but yeah, agreed. It's if you're using an ETL tool as part of your broader technology stack for data exchange, to exchange data across platforms, and you want to kind of standardize on that, it might make sense to use that then Automation Studio to import records. Any other questions?
One question actually. It's
Sure.
from Navya. How to have a data match built or pull data of a customer from CRM and the same gets updated in a defined data extension in Marketing Cloud.
A data match from CRM. Yeah, so Automation Studio doesn't do that. There are two ways of, I'm not quite sure of the term data match, but there are two ways of getting data from CRM into Marketing Cloud. And the first is to use synchronized data extensions. So these essentially go and synchronize standard or custom objects into a data extension. It's data replication effectively, and it does this as a cadence of every 15 minutes. You could use these resulting synchronized data extensions in conjunction with a say a query activity to go and look for specific records and finding matching records, for example, and that could update another data extension for announce. That's the first method. The second is through Journey Builder. You can, based on change data capture event or CDC occurring on any standard or custom object record, that can inject customers into a journey and optionally kind of filter them through kind of criteria. So they're the two main ways. But for that specific use case, yeah, it's really a two-step process. You'd have to go and set up a synchronized data extension first, and then you can use that synchronized data extension in an automation as part of a query activity.
Thank you. I actually got one more question from one of our attendees, and she unfortunately is not able to attend today's session, but she sent the question through LinkedIn. So her question is, what are the Journey Builder limitations due to which we will be using Automation Studio? Because a lot of the things will automatically be covered within Journey Studio already. So why, like, what are the limitations when we can only use Automation Studio, not Journey Builder?
Yeah, so they're really designed to solve different use cases. So Automation Studio, as I said before, is for batch processing repetitive tasks like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this in a linear sequence. Whereas Journey Builder is more behavioral based and event based, in that you're injecting in maybe generally, I say micro batches of customers based on kind of real time data when something occurs, and then as they're moving through the journey, you're looking at essentially Journey Builder kind of nurtures that customer life cycle, whereas Automation Studio is kind of marketing automation, kind of hardcore marketing automation, typically batch processing large data sets. Also it's certainly Journey Builder and Automation Studio, I think it's worth mentioning, is they typically do go hand in hand. That you may have an automation that's running daily or hourly of, I don't know, let's say that going and identifying everyone within a birthday tomorrow, and you want to inject them into a birthday email, or maybe you've got some queries to look at a ban browse or a ban cart or kind of some other. You typically create your audiences for your journeys through an automation, and then when you go and configure that journey, you can actually go and select, you want this to be driven by an automation. So when that automation runs, and then the contact will be from that data extension using the journey, they'll be injected in there. So they, definitely two different business cases, but they're also quite complementary in that regard.
Got it. Well, I guess that covers everything and all the questions from our participants. Thank you so much, Elliot. You explained everything beautifully and in really simpler terms. So I'm sure most of our participants were able to get their questions answered. But even if you have any more questions, you can reach out to Elliot or me through LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to help you. And once again, thank you so much for joining, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.